Welcome everyone to the recessed meeting of the Will County Board for July 18th, 2013. Call this meeting to order. If everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. County Board member Mike Frizzalone will lead us in the pledge, then introduce our clergy for this morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Executive Walsh, good morning.
Good morning.
I have the pleasure of introducing today from Parkview Christian Church, Lockport, Illinois, Pastor Brian Hunt.
Good morning. I also bring my assistant, my daughter Aniston, too. So would you bow your heads and pray with me? Mighty God and Father, we come before you this morning and are so grateful because we are in a day that was not promised yesterday. That this is a gift that you've given us today, Lord. And because it is a gift, you've asked us to do something with it. Lord God, we ask that in these breaths that we are breathing now, in these moments that we are living, that you show us what we are to do with the day that we are given. Lord God, in my hand is not only my daughter Aniston, but the example of the future that is ahead of us. And Lord God, as we stand before you, we want not just for the here and now, but for what is to come, Lord. Lord, may the decisions that are made in this room be in thought of not just the here and now, but in what is to come. May there be great wisdom that is seen and heard throughout these walls. And Lord, would you be the ultimate wisdom? As we read in your scripture, it says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And so, Lord, our fear, our reverence of you is what should guide us and direct us in the decisions that we make and allow us to hear from you today as we stand in your presence, as we stand in your love and your grace, knowing that you are what is to come. We love you, Jesus. In your beautiful name we pray. Amen.
Dance. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Zagrosi? Mustis? Here. Howard? Here. Ogella? Here. Izzo? Moran? Here. Rice? Here. Harris? Trainier? Here. Bible? Here. Goodson? Here. Freitag? Here. Gould? Here. Balich? Here. Frizzalone? Here. Winfrey? Adamick, Babbage, Wilhelmy, Hart, Mayer, McDermott, Weigel, Collins, Ferry, and Brooks. Thank you.
24 members present.
24 members. We do have a quorum. Entertain a motion to place on file the certificate of publication. Moved by Mr. Ferry. Second by Ms. Trainier. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Sure. Zagrosi? Zagrosi? Yes. Thank you. Mustis? Yes. Howard? Yes. Ogella? Yes. Moran? Yes. Rice? Yes. Trainier? Yes. Bible? Yes. Goodson? Yes. Freitag? Yes. Gould? Yes. Balich? Yes. Frizzalone? Yes. Winfrey? Yes. Adamick? Yes. Babbage? Yes. Wilhelmy? Yes. Hart? Mayor, McDermott, yes. Weigel, yes. Collins, yes. Ferry, yes. And Brooks. Yes. Thank you.
24 affirmative.
24 affirmative. Motion has carried. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our June 20, 2013 County Board meeting. Moved by Mr. Babbage, second by Mr. Bible. Any discussion? Previous roll call by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Freitag. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried. Madam Clerk, would you please acknowledge our elected officials and the media that is present this morning?
Sure. Auditor Duffy Blackburn, County Clerk Nancy Schultz-Booth, County Executive Larry Walsh, Recorder of Deeds Karen Stucco, Sheriff Paul Kopis, State's Attorney James Glasgow, and our Superintendent of Schools, Sean Walsh. Media, we have Chicago Tribune, Alice Fabry, Farmers Weekly Review and Bugle, Nick Ryer, Herald News, Cindy Kane, The Times Weekly, Rex Robinson, and from WJOL, we have Monica DeSantis. Welcome.
Thank you. Citizens be heard. We will, if there are any citizens to be heard, will be heard at the appropriate time. So moving on to honorary resolutions and proclamations. Would County Board Member Diane Zagrosi and Denise Winfrey please come forward and proclamation recognizing the 23rd anniversary of Americans with Disabilities Act.
Good morning, Mr. Walsh, County Board members, members in the audience. I do have a proclamation that I'm very pleased to read to you this morning, recognizing the 23rd anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, which reads, whereas on July 26, 1990, the Americans with Disabilities Act, also known as the ADA, was signed into law to ensure the civil rights of people with disabilities. This legislation established a clear and comprehensive national mandate for the elimination of discrimination against individuals with disabilities, and whereas the ADA has expanded opportunities for Americans with disabilities by reducing barriers and changing perceptions, increasing full participation in community life. However, the full promise of the ADA will only be reached if public entities remain committed in their efforts to fully implement the ADA. And whereas on the 23rd anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, we celebrate and recognize the progress that has been made under the ADA by reaffirming the principles of equality and inclusion and recommitting our efforts to reach full ADA compliance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Will County Board and the Will County Executive do hereby reaffirm their commitment to work towards full accessibility and inclusion of people with disabilities throughout Will County. Dated this 19th day, 2013, signed by Lawrence M. Walsh, Will County Executive, attested by Nancy Schultz-Booth, Will County Clerk, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Grossi, second by Ms. Winfrey. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Good morning. I'm Denise Winfrey and co-chair of the Accessible Cities Alliance. Diane and I co-chair that. Also, immediate past president of the Will Grundy Center for Independent Living, which supports the needs of people with disabilities. So I'm accepting on behalf of the center.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job. Great job. Is there anyone here from the Minooka girls softball team? They were supposed to be here today. So with that, County Board Member Don Gould will read a proclamation recognizing that championship girls softball team from his desk. Don?
Class 4A State Softball Championship. Whereas it is the intent of the Will County Board and the Will County Executive to recognize outstanding achievements of individuals and organizations in Will County, and whereas the Minooka Community High School softball team won its first ever Class 4A State Softball Championship on June 8, 2013, beating St. Charles East by a run rule, means a mercy rule, 14-3 at Manuzzo Field in East Peoria, Illinois. And whereas the run rule victory by the Indians is only the second ever in the championship game in the history of IHSA. And whereas the Minooka Community High School softball team ended their season with a 23-8 record. Whereas the success earned in this winning season can be attributed to the determination and commitment of Coach Mark Brown, assistant coach Amy Salins, the parents and members of the Minooka Community High School softball team. Now therefore be it resolved that the Will County Executive and Will County Board hereby honor Minooka Community High School for their Class 4A State Softball Championship. Be it further resolved that Coach Brown, the coaching staff, and the members of the Minooka Community High School softball team be commended for this outstanding achievement. Signed, Lawrence M. Walsh, Will County Executive. Attested, Nancy Schultz-Boots, Will County Clerk. And I move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Freitag, and second by Ms. Goodson. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried. Thank you
They're
very
a great
much.
team.
Thank you. All resolutions from the June 20th, 2013 County Board agenda have been signed by the County Executive. Moving on to new business, our first committee is Land Use and Development Committee. Mr. Weigel, Chairman.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Tom.
We don't have any land use cases today. We do have one resolution, 13-173, resolution, determination of fair market value for improved acre of land within each school district in Will County. This is something that we do annually. They update the property values. This is for the school contribution ordinance. When a developer builds a house in unincorporated Will County, they're required to give a certain portion to the school districts. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Mr. Mustis.
These contribution ordinances are done by state statute, and we do approve the valuations. But I might point out that our ordinance in contribution ordinances for library, schools, fire protection districts, whatever else may be out there, haven't really been reviewed or changed since 1973, I've been told. Yeah, I personally have some concerns here, and the reason I have concerns is these valuations that we approve here today aren't necessarily up-to-date valuations. Some of these were done at the height of the real estate market and so forth. Now, I understand as a practical matter that the schools negotiate these contribution ordinance with developers at the end because they do have to sign off. But I do think we need to review our ordinance probably sooner than later, and so perhaps we have a little bit more say on how valuations and when they have to be updated to be valid. I have a hard time doing valuations that were performed in 1997 at the height of the market and applying them today. When we all know valuations have declined, but we don't have the ability, I don't believe, to just change these valuations that the school districts perhaps submit or don't submit. They don't change them in a timely manner, except when values are going up, of course. So I would ask the Land Use Committee, the Executive Committee Chair, to perhaps put this on the agenda for land use. I do think it's something that absolutely needs to be done. I'm going to probably just be a quiet no here, and I say quiet because I just have a difficult time accepting valuations that are just not probably up to date. So, but I do understand we have to do this. But that's my only comments, Mr. Executive. Thank you.
Ms. Grossi?
Basically, I think we need to go back, and there should be some type of listing that's out there as far as what school districts have actually gone in and done their reassessments. General practice has been in the past that this is always done by a school district annually, and certainly this takes more into new construction into play, which we know over the last several years there hasn't been a whole lot. I'm not opposed to having it go back to be reviewed, but this does need to be moved forward this time.
Mr. Adamick?
Thank you, Mr. Executive and fellow board members. Just so everyone knows, this very point that Mr. Moose talks about today was brought up essentially by myself and I think Mr. Frizzalone as well, about many of these appraisals were, I'd call them at best stale. And while there's one that went back to 1997, there's ones here, there was a couple of them or so that don't even have any appraisals. So we felt that we should move this forward and that we should take this up for next time.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Mr. Weigel, you would like to comment, or?
I think it should move forward. There's very limited development in Will County in unincorporated areas. I believe land use said there was only 15 homes in the county, so I can't see holding this up for this minor amount. It's up to each school district to do the evaluation. And if the county was going to do this, we would have to hire appraisers and go out and do evaluations of 22 different school districts. So it could be a big expense for the county, and for very little, we don't get any return on this. All the money goes to the school district. So they're not really filling their pockets because there isn't any building by having old evaluations. So I think we should move forward. And we will be looking at this before next year to make sure it is up to date.
Motion and second on the floor. Madam Clerk, Mr. Wilhelmy.
Previous roll call.
Mr. Wilhelmy moves for previous roll call. Second by Mr. Moran. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Call the roll, Madam Clerk.
DeBrosi? Yes. Mustis? No. Howard? No. Gallo? Yes. Moran? Yes. Rice? Yes. Izzo?
What are we voting on?
The resolution?
Resolution 173.
173.
Yes.
Moran? Trainier? Yes. Bible? Yes. Goodson? Yes. Freitag? Yes. Gould? Yes. Balich? No. Frizzalone?
Yes.
Winfrey?
Ms. Winfrey?
Adamick?
Yes.
Babbage?
Yes.
Wilhelmy?
Yes.
Hart?
No.
Mayor?
No.
McDermott?
No.
Weigel?
Yes.
Collins?
Yes.
Ferry?
Yes.
And Burks?
Yes.
Thank you.
Affirmative. 6 negative.
19 affirmative. Motion has carried. Mr.
That
Weigel.
concludes the reports. I just wanted to bring you up to date. We had a meeting on July 15th of the Ordinance Review Committee, met with stakeholders. This is for updating our building ordinance. We had maybe 30 people there, and they got various comments. One of the issues that was brought up was sprinklers. Our old ordinance, 2009, does not require it. The 2012 requires it. However, we can opt out on sprinklers for residential properties. A lot of you county board members may have been getting some emails from realtors opposing this, and the committee is pretty much opposed to this also, so I don't think it's going to move forward. But we are having continuing meetings till we resolve all the issues on the updating of the building ordinance. Our next meeting of the Land Use Committee is August 13th. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Weigel. Back to our agenda. There was a gentleman, Mr. Walter Hantung, who at the time we were looking for public comment, I've been informed that he did sign up. Mr. Is it Hantung? Hartung, would you like to make a public comment? You come forward. I apologize, I didn't see that you had signed in, so. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Walter Hartung. I reside at 17133 Gauger Road in unincorporated Will County, Homer Township. Earlier this year, I received letters from the Land Use Department regarding some ordinance violations that I have. A little quick background, I have a house and a separate garage. My family and I have a hobby of racing. I've been racing for 33 years. This year I'm racing with both of my sons, and for that I have some vehicles parked in my driveway. I received a letter saying that I couldn't have unlicensed motor vehicles sitting in my driveway. I got in contact with the Land Use Department, and I talked to them, and they said they'd have to go, along with some of the parts and equipment I had sitting around the garage. Also in the process, I had a swimming pool around the back of my home. You weren't able to see it from the street, nor the side of the house. You had to go all the way around to the back of the house to see the swimming pool. I erected the swimming pool in 2000 and was not aware that I had to have a permit for it. I in no way erected the pool trying to pull one over on anybody. So they told me I had to get a permit for the pool and put up a safety fence. I said I had no problem complying with that. They said the cars would have to go. So I had to go out and find somewhere. I had to rent somewhere to find to put the cars and rent a place to put my parts and equipment. At that time, I had the land use, people from the land use come out to my property, and with full transparency, I let them walk around, look at what I was doing in the process of removing the cars, having already removed the parts. And I asked them how they got my pool involved in this, seeing you can't see it from the road. Now, I want to make it clear that this all started from a disgruntled neighbor across the street who didn't like or does not like what I do. He lives in Lockport in a subdivision across the street. Well, they told me when they came to do a inspection that they, for the cars and the equipment, that they decided they were going to go on my property and see what else they could find. I asked them who gave them permission. They said they didn't need permission. The day they came to my house, they never knocked on the door, and they never called me ahead of time. They just came and went through my property, and in the process went through my neighbor's property where I had some cars parked. So I had everything removed. I had all the cars removed, have all the parts removed. I'm paying 2 separate rents to keep all this, but I still like to do my hobby at my home. The disgruntled neighbor keeps calling the police. The other thing is I started to comply with the land use, and the complainant kept complaining. And land use then sent me another set of issues that I wasn't complying with. And they never really talked to me about these issues. They just took all their information from the complainant and based their things on what the complainant was saying. And the complainant was making some outlandish remarks. Some were very exaggerated, and some were quite untrue. So when I came back to the pool, I asked them what I had to do to get into compliance, and they said, well, it seems that the pool is not in the proper place. I would have to get a variance permit. So I went to the 5th floor over on Clinton Street and inquired about a variance permit. The variance permit would be $500. Because I didn't get the variance permit ahead of time, I would have to pay some kind of little fine. 1.5 times the amount of the variance permit, plus the regular permit. And then at that time, the people on the 5th floor told me that this would have to go in front of a hearing, a county board hearing, to have approval of the variance permit. I found that to be really over the top just for an above-ground swimming pool. The cost of all these permits and variance permits would be well over $1,000, and then I was told they would charge me $100 to have it put in the paper, and that they had to put a sign in front of my home for one sign for every 500 feet of frontage, alerting the public to this hearing for an above-ground pool. And then they asked me if there was any municipalities that joined up against my property, and I said, well, technically yes, Lockport. And then they said Lockport would have to sign off on this. Their board, the health department, the fire department. At this time I asked, well, sorry about that. At this time I asked if I pay the money for these permits, variance permits, everything so on and so forth, it would go in front of the Will County Board. I would have the health department, the fire department, everybody sign off on this, and then they would have to go in front of Lockport, the fire department, health department, so on and so forth. And I said, if somebody didn't want me to have that pool there, would I get my $1,000 back? No. I decided against it. So to cut to the chase, I tried to find a way to get around having to take my pool down, but I was told if I didn't take it down by a certain time, I would pay $500 a day, retroactive back to the 1st. The pool came down. I don't have it anymore. And it is not, the pool was not an original part of the complaint from the neighbor across the street. It just happened to get sucked into the process over the original complaint, the cars in my driveway, the parts and all that, the parts and the equipment. Now I have complied with the land use department. I've moved everything, I've cleaned everything up. I try to be very respectful to my neighbors, but the complainant across the street continually calls the Lockport Police Department, who in turn has to call the Will County Police Department, and they keep coming out every weekend, all different times of the day, in the evening and the night. Be it in the afternoon, be it 8 o'clock at night, be it 1 in the morning. The Will County Sheriff's Office comes out. There is no violation. I've never been written a ticket, never been written a summons, nothing. But this keeps going on and on and on, and I can't seem to find anybody that wants to step in and say, hey, he's not violating anything. He's not violating any ordinance. He's not doing anything wrong. That the complainant just doesn't like what I'm doing and continually keeps doing this. And it's very frustrating to me. What I'm doing in my home is a hobby. It's a family thing. My sons and I, my daughter, my wife, everybody in my family. And I'm not out to hurt anybody. I'm just wondering why I can't get someone on my side to step in and stop a person that is very selfish and disgruntled, that doesn't like what I'm doing, even though they don't live in my area. They don't live in unincorporated Will County like I do. They live in a subdivision across the street. And they continually try to use the land use department to harass me. Now, as of yet, I have not received any more complaints over any ordinances, but I know he has been in touch with the land use department that continually try to harass me. I think it would be in someone's best interest to look into how these things are being done, how they go about doing things. The fact that land use can come onto your property without asking permission. I have no trespassing signs. I would not have a problem letting somebody come onto my property if they asked. I don't like the fact that somebody came onto my property without even asking me. I have, through the Freedom of Information Act, emails, photographs, correspondence between certain politicians, the resident across the street, his alderman, and I have the photographs of the day they came in and took the pictures of my pool in my backyard. Dated. I was never asked. I was never called. They just came in and did this. I only found out about it when the letter came in the mail. So I think that's all I had to say. I thank everyone for their time.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to next item on our agenda, Finance Committee, Mr. Wilhelmy, Chairman.
Forgot where I was, too. Am I on? Good morning, County Executive and fellow County Board members.
Morning,
I
Steve.
have 4 reports to put on file this morning. The first one is from the Illinois Department of Revenue, showing sales tax remitted to Will County in the amount of $1,401,249, and RTA tax of $1,684,698, for a total of $3,085,947. Second report is from the Will County Treasurer. Actually, the next 3 are from the Will County Treasurer. There's the monthly report dated May 31st, quarterly report dated May 31st, and the semi-annual report dated May 31st for each of those respective periods, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Wilhelmy, second by Mr. Babbage. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Thank you very much. I have 4 resolutions. The first one is number...
excuse me. We need a roll call.
Okay.
We need a roll call on this because of our last roll call. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Call the roll.
Zagrosi? Yes. Mustis? Yes. Howard? Yes. Ogala? Yes. Bizzo? Yes. Moran? Yes. Rice? Yes. Trainier? Yes. Bible? Goodson? Yes. Freitag? Yes. Gould? Yes. Balich? Yes. Rizalone? Yes. Winfrey? Yes. Adamick? Yes. Babbage?
Yes.
Wilhelmy?
Yes.
Hart? Mayor? McDermott? Yes. Weigel? Collins? Yes. Ferry?
Yes.
And Brooks?
Yes.
Thank you.
Would you like to be a yes on this motion, Mr. Bible?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
25 affirmative.
25 affirmative, motion is carried. Moving on, Steve.
Okay, thank you very much. I forgot about the mixed roll
That's
last
all right.
time. Okay, the first resolution is number 13174, a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents for a delinquent tax program, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Wilhelmy, second by Mr. Ferry. Any questions? Previous roll call by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Adamick. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
The next is 13175, a resolution transferring funds within the drug court budget, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Wilhelmy, second by Ms. McDermott. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Grossi, second by Ms. Freitag. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Next is 13176, a resolution appropriating IDOT grant funds in the sheriff's budget for Independence Day and Labor Day enforcement program, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Wilhelmy, second by Ms. Rice. Any questions? Previous roll call by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Ogala. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
And my last resolution is 13177, a resolution increasing appropriations in the sheriff's corporate budget, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Wilhelmy, second by Ms. Trainier. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Hart, second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Thank you. That completes my report. The next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for August 6th at 9:30, and enjoy the rest of this summer and stay cool.
Thanks, Steve. Moving on, Public Works Transportation Committee. Mr. Adamick, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. Good morning, fellow board members.
Good morning.
It's a great day to be in Will County. We have 8 resolutions to present to you today. The first resolution is Resolution 13178. It's an award of contract to P.T. Farrow in the amount of $171,044.50 for the Wilmington Road District and County Board District 6 using our allotment of motor fuel tax funds, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Adamick, second by Mr. Gould. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Freitag, second by Ms. Hart. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Our second resolution, Resolution 13179, is a resolution confirming an award of contract to Emulsa Coat for $108,750 for the Peatone Road District, County Board District 1, using our allotment of motor fuel tax funds, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Adamick, second by Mr. Howard. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Trainier, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Our third resolution is Resolution 180, a resolution confirming award of contract to Emulsa Coat in the amount of $107,184 for the Washington Road District and County Board District 1, using the allotment of motor fuel tax funds, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Adamick, second by Mr. Howard. Any questions? Previous roll call by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Goodson. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Fourth resolution, Resolution 13181, resolution confirming an award of contract to Emulsa Coat in the amount of $73,950 for the Will Road District and County Board District 1, using our allotment of motor fuel tax funds, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Adamick, second by Mr. Howard. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Ogala, second by Mr. Izzo. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Resolution 13182 is a resolution providing title commitment reports for use by the county with the Wheatland Title Guarantee Corporation for road improvements to Bell Road, County Highway 16, between 159th Street and 151st Street in County Board District 7, using County Board Series ABC road bond funds or the RTA tax funds in the amount of $11,000, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Adamick, second by Mr. Babbage. Any questions? Previous roll call by Mr. Izzo, second by Ms. Goodson. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Our sixth resolution is Resolution 183, is a resolution providing title commitment reports for use by the county with a Wheatland Title Guarantee for improvements of Laraway Road at the intersection of Spencer Road in County Board District 12, using the County Series ABC road bond funds or the RTA tax funds in the amount of $2,500, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Adamick, second by Mr. Bible. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Moran, second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Resolution 184 is a resolution authorizing approval of professional services agreement for right-of-way acquisition services relocations with Land Acquisitions, Inc. for several parcels along Bell Road at County Highway 16 at the intersection of 143rd Street in County Board District 7, using County Series ABC road bond or RTA tax funds in the amount of $64,000, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Adamick, second by Mr. Frizzalone. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Hart, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Our final resolution is Resolution 185, a resolution authorizing approval of professional services agreement for design engineering services for roadway and other work with Baxter Woodman, Inc. at Laraway Road at the intersection of Spencer Road in County Board District 12, using our County Series ABC road bond funds or RTA tax funds in the amount of $147,400, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Adamick, second by Mr. Izzo. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Bible. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
And lastly, fellow board members and Mr. Executive, our Public Works and Transportation Committee, our next meeting is scheduled for August 6th at 8:30 a.m. If you're interested, please come and join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adamick. Moving on to the next committee, Judicial Committee, Mr. Bible, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive, Madam Clerk, county officials, members of the public and of the gallery. It's good morning to everybody here in Hotliette. We have one resolution from the Judicial Committee for this month. That is resolution number, what is our number here? Sorry about that. One moment, I got to get caught up here. That is, sorry about that, I've lost my place.
13186.
131, thank you very much. 13186, sorry about that. That is a resolution merely ratifying a memorandum of understanding between the City of Joliet and Will County, appropriating $60,858 and splitting that grant from the U.S. Department of Justice, an assistance grant between the city and the county. The share being for the county would be $30,429 to fund a heroin education program, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Bible, second by Mr. Wilhelm. Any discussion? Previous roll call by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Freitag. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
I thank you, and that is all that we have from the Judicial Committee. The next meeting of the Judicial Committee will be on August the 6th at 8:30 p.m. Or excuse me, a.m.
Thank you very much, Reed. Moving on, Public Health and Safety Committee, Mr. Babbage, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive.
Good morning, Joe.
Board members. Today, all I have is a report to place on file is the Will County Coroner's 2012 annual report submitted by the Will County Coroner Patrick L. Neal at our committee meeting. This is just to place this on file. Our committee also did discuss into length a few of the leaf burning issues that we will be bringing back next month, and also the Daisy Carnival that was held out the racetrack in regards to the noise. So there is some process being involved that we will be working on that until next meeting. And our next meeting is August the 8th at 2013 at 8:30 a.m. That concludes my report.
Did you make a motion placed on file? You got to make a motion.
Yes, I made the motion.
Second by Mr. Wilhelmy. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Babbage. Moving on to Insurance and Personnel Committee, Ms. Zagrosi, Chairperson.
Good morning, Mr. Walsh.
Good morning, Diane.
County Board members. We have nothing to formally vote on this morning. We will be going into executive session later in this meeting for discussion of contract negotiations. So that's all I have at this time. Our next scheduled meeting is August 13th, 2013 at 9:30. So please plan to attend.
Thank you very much, Diane. Moving on, Legislative Policy Committee, Mr. Howard, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive and County
Bob.
Board members. We have nothing to bring forth this morning as far as the resolutions, but I would like to, if it pleases the board, allow Vice Chair Suzanne Hart, who chaired the last meeting, to give her a short report.
Okay, looking forward to it.
Thank you, Bob. It was, again, very simple. We just had some few discussions, and the big thing now that we're going to discuss is for the future of starting early, a little earlier than we have in the back, for state and federal priorities for our report. So hopefully we can have that in front of the board after veto session is kind of where we were at.
Good.
That's it.
Good.
Great day.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Mr. Howard. Next, we have the Capital Improvements Committee, Ms. Winfrey, Chairperson.
Good morning, Mr. Executive.
Good morning,
fellow
Denise.
board members. Capital Improvements Committee has no resolutions to bring forward this morning. Our next meeting will be August 6th at 10 a.m., and we encourage all members to be present.
Thank you very much, Denise. Moving on to the Executive Committee. Mr. Brooks, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive.
Good
Good morning,
morning,
everyone. The first resolution I have is 13-187, resolution in support of the renewal of the operating license of the Exelon Generation Braidwood Nuclear Generating Station, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. Gould. Previous roll by Mr. Adamick, second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
13-188, resolution ratifying the acceptance and execution of manufacturing training grant from the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Brooks, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. McDermott, second by Ms. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
13-189, resolution authorizing the county executive to execute intergovernmental agreement with the New Lenox Township for permanent residential electronics and or traditional recyclable drop-off, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. Izzo. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Moran, second by Mr. Wilhelmy. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Can everybody hear me so far?
Yeah.
All right. 13.
Nancy's office here. Yeah.
13-190, resolution declaring Sheriff C vehicle surplus and authorizing disposal, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. Howard. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Ferry, second by Mr. Bible. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
13-191, resolution declaring sheriff vehicle surplus and authorizing disposal, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Brooks, second by Ms. Rice. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Goodson. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
13-192, resolution approving and authorizing submittal of substantial amendment to Will County year 2010 through 2014 consolidated plan for the inclusion of an emergency solutions grant program, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. Gould. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Frizzle, second by Ms. Goodson. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion carries.
13-193, resolution proposing a substantial agreement to the Will County 5-year consolidation plan 2010 through 2014 for the administration and operation of the Village of Bolingbrook CDBG Entitlement Grant Program for the program year beginning October 1, 2013, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. Wilhelmy. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Babbage, second by Ms. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
13-194, resolution adopting the Will County Plan 2013 action plan for the Community Block Development Block Grant, the Home Investment Partnership Grant, and the Emergency Solution Grant Program for the period October 1, 2013 through September 30, 2014, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Brooks, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Wilhelmy, second by Ms. Hart. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
13-195, replacement hires for Sunny Hill Nursing Home, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. Ferry. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Hart, second by Ms. Goodson. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
And lastly, 13-196, replacement hire for the County Executive Maintenance Department, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. Babbage. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Wilhelmy, second by Ms. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
The next executive committee meeting would be Thursday, August 1st, 9:30 a.m., and this is going to be a meeting the airport consultants will present their analysts for Senate Bill 20, and I want to invite all to be there, come and stay a little longer as we hear their report from our consultants. Appointments by the county executive, you have them all on your desk, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. Adamick. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Wilhelmy, second by Mr. Bible. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried. Announcements by our county board speaker, Mr. Brooks.
Let me begin by making you aware that the congressional briefing schedule meeting we had here in Will County at our office for Tuesday the 23rd has been canceled, and it has been rescheduled. And you all will be getting an email and notified when that next date is. Also, just a few other things. So many times I forget our resolutions beginning of our meeting. The meeting will be so long, by the time I get to the end, I forgot everything already. But I just want to, first of all, congratulate the resolution for recognizing Americans with disabilities. On next Saturday, August the 17th, on next month, the Will Grundy Center for Independent Living will be having their banquet at the University of St. Francis in Joliet. If you haven't gotten the email or flyer about it, I'll be glad to make you copies of that as well.
Banquet will be, and it's not a banquet, our empowerment event will be August 15th at Harris Casino in Joliet, 5 to 7. That is our annual fundraiser for the Center for Independent Living. On July 23rd, which is next Tuesday, at Tower Hall at the University of St. Francis, we will celebrate the ADA Act. We encourage you all to join us for that as well, 5 to 7 at Tower Hall, University of St. Francis, July 23rd.
All right. Thank you for the correction. And also the Minooka girls, they weren't here today, but they were on the screen, and I felt like they were with us on today, but we certainly want to congratulate them. Also want to comment, our clergy on this morning, Pastor Hunt, did a wonderful job. I've been a minister for 35 years, and I don't have a shirt like that or a pretty little girl, so he did a wonderful job. Also, just want to remind you that it is 95 degrees, and anything over 94, I can't wear a tie, so you all stay nice and cool for the next few days. We do have a heat wave warning, And then lastly, I do want the employees of Will County to know this, that we're all affected some ways in our lives or our families of what you're going through. And I want our Will County employees to know that we are concerned about them. Every elected official, everyone sitting behind this desk, we do feel what you're going through, and we're certainly here today to help you and help go negotiate what we need to do. But I just want everybody to know we are concerned about the Will County employees. And that is why caucus chair, I was late getting upstairs to our meeting because I felt it was very important to stop and address some of the concerns and at least listen to them. But I did that because I wanted them to know we're all concerned about it. Thank you so much. You all have a wonderful summer and a vacation. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Speaker Brooks. Moving on to our Democratic Caucus Chair leader, Ms. Zagrosi.
Thank you. You know, I think, Herb, you were looking at my notes here as far as what I was going to talk about, too. Herb mentioned briefly the heat index that's going to be out there. It is extreme. And just as we have safety warnings that are out there for those that are at risk, as well as our senior citizens, in the wintertime when it gets extremely cold, we need to do the same thing when it hits, the extreme temperatures and heat, too. So do make sure you're checking on those, that are elderly or those that are at risk, that may be family members, neighbors, community members. Make sure they're being checked on. Herb had mentioned the ADA, and yes, I was going to talk about that also a little bit. I was so happy to be able to get up and read the proclamation. Those of you who actually know me know that disability issues reside very heavily and have for a very long time. I have my son Matthew, who I'm quite proud of, who's 26 years old. Yes, learning disabled since birth. However, he is a joy, and anyone who knows him knows that he is extremely social, he is extremely happy, and just a joy to have around. So disabled, maybe. Enabled, yes. Every individual, though, who does have some type of disability needs to have access to accommodations, access to buildings, access to employment, and the ADA basically does cover all of that. So again, when we look at disabilities, I guess my mantra has always been, and I'm sure people are tired of me hearing me say this, but this is any one of us basically in the blink of an eye. If you happen to get into a car accident, if there is some type of catastrophic illness, if there is a stroke, this is any one of us. So that having been said, I will get off my soapbox. As Herbert said, we are, as county officials, trying to do the work of the county and the work of our people and the work of our employees, which we will be getting into as soon as we go into executive session. And rest assured, we have everyone's interest at heart when we go into discussion. So with that, have a good day, try and stay cool, and let's get on to business.
Thank you very much, Diane. Moving on to the Republican Caucus Chair, Mr. Mustis.
Well, I'm going to be real brief. Good morning, Mr. Executive.
Good morning, Jim.
County Board. Once again, thanks for all your hard work all month long. That includes all the staff folks who really do a lot of the hard work. They do the heavy lifting, and we do the talking, I guess. But I'm starting to think that with all this heat over the last couple of years, there's something to global warming. I don't know if it's stirring up. I know it's getting warmer. I also know the corn's looking pretty good in Will County, I've lived next to a farm for the last 40, I'm trying to think how long I've been here, 43 years. So I always have a cornfield I look out at my house. So everyone have a great day. And looking forward to working with you in the next month, and stay cool. Thanks, Mr. Executive.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. I'd like to recognize a guest that is here today, and it's good to see him back here. Our former colleague, County Board member, Brian Smith. Brian, thank you very much for coming back. I said he looked really well in his attire today. No shirt and tie and suit. So anyway, thanks everybody. I I do want to echo also the comments of Leader Brooks, Speaker Brooks, in regards to our issue with our employees. When it gets down to the final inches that we have to move in negotiations, it gets very difficult. And I think we are close. We are very close. We had a meeting yesterday morning that I think we made progress. The negotiators for the county or for the employees union has been doing a terrific job of bringing their issues together. We are going to be meeting here in executive session to discuss labor negotiations as a whole. I think that's an unprecedented thing that is going to take place, that a meeting of the whole here after a county board member to discuss all together where we're at and where the issues are and how far apart we are. The issue of insurance, which health insurance plays such a major role of negotiations, and it plays a major part of the economic package of any contract anymore, is been worked on and reworked, and we understand that there has to be a decision of give and take, and we are trying to do that. We are trying to be as fair and equitable, provide our employees, for many of our employees, 40 years of service, 40, 30 years of service, 25 employees years of service. Will County is a great place to work, and we want to treat our employees respectfully and give them a decent living and decent benefits. And we are trying to do that with the taxpayers in mind, in regards to doing all we can for whatever dollars we have available. And so I think that it's close. We're going to come to a closure soon, and I think maybe after this morning's executive session, we will get a feel of what everybody has got on their mind, and our negotiator, Mark Bennett, and he's not here yet. Okay, he's running just a smidgen late. So anyway, he's going to give us the discussion today and enlighten us, fill us in on all the issues. So with that, we need do we need a motion? No, we're going to stick around, board members, for executive session, and we will recess to the call of the chair, so our everybody can our gallery people, our friends and guests can get moved, and we'll be back. Don't leave, please, so we can hear from Mark, and you can hear firsthand where we're at in regards to the negotiations. So with that, we'll stand at ease until the call of the chair.